Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in the Chatham wood-turning shop of Michael Blankenship. You are about to see some amazing creations of woodwork here today. Even more amazing when you consider the fact that 11 years ago, Michael Blankenship lost his sight. You can't see what he's doing, but you'll be amazed at the kind of craftsmanship that comes out of this shop. Michael, can you stop raining down that sawdust for a little bit and come on over here? I think I'm covered already, and we just got started. How are you?
Great, great.
Good. Okay, we're gonna bother your wood turning here for just a little bit. We're gonna get back to it a little bit later when you're describing to us how you do what you do. But I found out about you from the Springfield Wood Turning Club, or maybe it's the Sangamon County Wood Turners Club.
Lincoln Land Wood Turners.
Lincoln Land Wood Turners Club. Some of the members there told me, you know, our best wood turner is named Michael Blankenship, and he is blind. And I said, no, that's impossible. You can't do what you do and be blind. I've done wood turning stories before. I can't understand how you do it with full sight, but you do it. How in the world do you feel what you're doing?
I just go slow, take my time, and it's pretty repetitive. After a lot of muscle memory in it, once I get something figured out, then I can usually repeat it.
Michael, I'm going to hand you some of your finished products and ask you to describe these to me. You know them like you know the back of your hand, literally. What is this bowl?
This is cherry wood, cherry tree. This is called a root ball. This grew out of the ground. About this much of it grew above the ground. All of this grew under the ground. This is all spayed out roots. And when I put it on there, the roots are like sticking out, some big, some short. And it's pretty gnarly looking.
It is.
Just dig it all out.
It's so natural, though.
Yeah,
it looks so natural.
It is.
I'll bet you love to get a big hunk like this, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Now, I've got a little one for you. This is small. Okay, what do we got there?
That's just a hollow vessel with a loose lid on it. Got a little finial here, a little decorative cut to lift it off, and it's got a little foot on it. I think, if I remember right, the wood in this is box elder and walnut top and a walnut bottom.
I'm going to hand you another bowl. Okay, there. I'll take the small one. Okay. Now this one looks like it's really gnarly. Do they have a word for this kind of look?
Yeah, this is
burl.
Burl. I'm sorry, a burl. This is those knots that grow on the side of trees. It's a burl. And the wood, there's no wood grain direction in it. A burl is actually a scab, and your tree just keeps growing over, and wood is tied in all over each other.
And is this difficult to work with since the grain is going all different directions?
It can be occasionally. Because the grain is going different directions, you'll grab the end grain and pull it up, and it will tear out. But that's pretty much acceptable.
Now I'm handing you a big bowl. Okay, now this is a very dark colored one. It's very smooth, and it looks like the grain is more directional. It looks like it's very smooth and even.
The grain will be going this way. These bowls come out of a tree. People think that you just cut off little cookies and you got the bowl. That don't work because there's a pith in the middle of the tree. This bowl come out of the tree like this, like on the tree. You cut the middle out of the tree because the middle of the tree is soft. And then this is actually the bark growing around the tree.
Oh.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Now, was this a dark? Well, you may not know.
Walnut.
Was this? It's walnut, so it was dark to start with.
Yes.
But you coat everything. Do you ever make it darker or lighter than it is? No. Natural
no
colors
color.
only.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now I'm handing you one with a lid because people may not know that you can also make lids for these bowls as well.
These are. This is called a lidded box. I make bowls with lids also. Putting it in your bedroom or next to your bed. Women put them in kitchens and putting recipes in them. It's just called a loose lid bowl. Box. I mean, in fact, our club is getting together and we're making a bunch of taller ones, about this size, and we're giving them to the cancer kids at St. John's Hospital as beads of courage.
Neat. Neat. Every kid needs. They have to put their stuff in something, right?
Yep.
Now, I'm handing you 2 Christmas ornaments. Okay? They're exquisite. They are just exquisite. And these, you're able to turn these smaller items as well on a different kind of a lathe, aren't you?
I do it on a smaller lathe. I can do it on this big lathe, but it's just easier and more comfortable to do this fine turning on a small lathe.
Beautiful. And it looks like are these glued together? Are these pieces of wood glued together?
This is called a globe. This is called the top, and this is called the icicle. These two are made out of the same piece of wood. This is usually a contrasting wood. I turn it round, I hollow it out, I put BBs in there so that to prove to people I hollow it out. And then Jackie comes out.
That's your wife.
One of the things that she helps me with immensely is she glues on the tops and the bottoms and makes sure I don't glue a walnut to a walnut.
I got you.
It won't
Okay,
look as
you're right.
good.
Okay. Now I'm going to hand you something kind of crude, okay?
Okay.
And it's a big old block of wood, but I have a reason for wanting to do this. Okay, here's a big old block of wood.
Okay, that's not crude. That's a hollow vessel.
That's a hollow.
Yeah.
For you, what you see what this can be.
Yeah.
We see what it is, but you see what it can be.
This goes on the lathe like that, and I'll round it up, and I'll round this over here, and then this will just taper down, and then I'll put a hole in it as small as I can, about the size of my thumb, and then I'll get in there and I'll dig out the wood as it's spinning, and get it all out. It won't even come out. I got to take the air hose and blow it out to make it come out of there.
I would think that would be really time consuming,
It
trying
is.
to get in there, because you got to get the right tool, and this thing's spinning, and you're trying to dig around, huh?
Yep.
I'm gonna hand you a finished product, and this is what that can be. Now I'll take the big one, okay? This is what that can be.
That's what this is gonna. That's exactly what that's gonna be. Except for that's just a little bit smaller piece. And this, you run your fingers in as far as you can. I make it as uniform as possible, and then I got a gauge. It's longer, and I just stick it in there, and it tells me if I got to take more out in there or not.
So every piece that you turn starts out as just a chunk of wood.
Chunk of firewood. All of my wood is all reclaimed wood. It's either going to be burned in a fireplace or pushed in a hole in a farm field and burn up. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to show as much of this process as we can, okay? And we're going to start with a bowl that you've already got started turning. And remember, folks, the bowl that he's going to start turning looked something like this not too long ago. Just a block of wood. Okay, Michael, can you show us how it's done, huh?
Sure.
All right. Michael, before you start on the other end of that bowl, you're going to work on the outside of the bowl now. Do all wood turners tape their fingers up like this?
No, I tape my fingers up because I got to touch the wood so much. The spinning of the bowl would just grind the skin off my fingers.
So most wood turners don't have to go by. You have to go by feel.
By feel.
And the only way you can tell whether you've reached your goal is to feel it, to feel how smooth it is and where the edges are.
Yep.
Other wood turners, they don't need to touch it all the time like you do.
Not as much. Yep.
Okay.
And most of them will shut it off to touch it.
Yeah.
Because they'll look at it too. They'll look at tear out and okay, there's a bump. I need to take that off. That kind of thing.
Did you didn't start turning till after you lost your sight?
Right. I've only been blind 11 years. I've never seen a bowl turned in my life.
And somehow you can envision it, and you can envision it somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
In your head, you know what it's supposed to look like or feel like.
Yep.
Okay, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. Okay, now what are you going to try to do? What were you doing on the inside, by the way?
In there, I was just cleaning it up, making it nice and true so it won't vibrate any. Now I'm going to come out here and I'm going to make my finished shape on the bowl. It's a little flat here. I got a lump here. I'm going to make that finished shape on the bowl, getting ready to sand it.
Okay. Now this was already a bowl that you let dry for a number of months, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, this has been drying for a good year.
For a year?
But all you got to wait is usually about 6 months.
Yeah, because they lose their shape, don't they? In their drying, they dry at different intervals, right? So part of the bowl bulges and part of it...
Yeah, this wood dries faster than this wood, and it get oblong, and wavy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so this one's dried, and when you get through here with this, it'll be ready to finish.
Yep.
Okay, good. Show us what to do the outside of this thing. A little faster.
A little more speed.
Wow. It doesn't take long, does it?
No. No.
Okay, may I actually take your mask off there, Michael? It doesn't take long. Oh, look what I got. I caught a lot of your chips there. I wanted to have this bowl handy though. This is, I'm gonna hand it to you, okay? Okay, this is one that's very similar to the one you're making
Yep,
here.
yep.
And it's got one coat of finish on it, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
This when I get done today, this bowl, these are going to look pretty much the same. Other than this has got one coat of finish on it.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And this, your wife told me this is hackberry.
Blue stained hackberry.
Blue stained hackberry. And the one you're working on, is it the same kind of wood, or do we know what that is?
I believe it is. I believe
Yeah?
it's blue stained.
Okay, wow. Neat work. Neat work. And Michael, have you ever been hurt doing this?
I jammed my fingers a lot. I smashed it pretty good this spring on the sharpening jig, but I've had pieces come off. In fact, I went to the hospital last year. Piece come off and hit me in the arm, and I just knew it broke my arm. And luckily, it didn't.
It didn't.
What happens is you get a catch when you're in the inside of it. Got a catch, and it pulled it off the chuck, and it
Yeah.
hit me in the arm.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, hopefully that's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
And certainly not today, because I've heard we're good luck.
Good.
Okay, you can probably tell which one of these is finished and which one of these is not finished. Michael calls these natural edge bowls. Is that right, Michael?
Yep.
Natural edge bowls. This one he's finished some time ago. I'm going to hand it to him now. There you go. And I like that because you leave the bark and the outside of the tree on here, don't you?
And to be a regular bowl comes out of the tree like this. A natural edge bowl comes out of the tree backwards like this. And where the tree rounds is where this dip comes in. And this tree, the bark went like this on it, and I cut that out, and it will dip down and leave the natural edge on it.
That's really cool. Okay, and I'm going to hand you this unfinished one. This is cedar, huh?
This is aromatic cedar.
Okay, and it's going to smell real good when we start cutting it, right?
Yeah.
And you have cut out a thing. What is this? This recess? It's called a recess.
This is called a dovetail recess. If you look at it this way, it's slanted in that way. These are called the jaws on the chuck. These jaws are dovetailed, and they're coming out this way. So when I put this on there and tighten it up, the jaws spread out into that recess.
And it stays on there. It can turn as fast as you want it to turn, and it'll stay on there.
Until you get a catch or something, then it'll throw it across the room.
Yeah, and you don't want to be in the way when that happens, do you?
No.
You described what happened to your arm when a big old piece came off, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it can break your arm. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of your way and let you turn a little bit of that. What is it that you're going to be attempting to do
First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just smooth up the outside just a little bit. The end of this is a little rough. And then I'm going to turn around and start digging the inside out.
Okay, good deal. Okay, you got it smooth. Can I feel it?
Needs a little bit of
It's like a
scraping.
baby's you know what.
Needs a little scraping and then a little sandpaper.
And now you're going to dig out the inside, the middle.
Yep.
Okay. That's a pretty piece of wood.
Yeah, it should have white and red and pink in it.
It does. It sure does. Okay, and you, a sighted person, would know exactly where that needs to be, but you need to feel the distance between the wood and the
Yep.
and the edge. Okay.
Now see, this bowl I'm going to have to shut off and on more because I just can't find the edge of the bowl because that's like a little lawnmower blade going around.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Oh, that does smell good. Oh, and it's so beautiful. Can you take that off and show us the inside of that, Michael? It's just beautiful. I'm going to hold it up for the camera. Look at the color that came out. I wish you could see it. It's got like a purplish color. It's just come right out of the center of it.
And it'll really brighten up when you put finish on it. Yeah.
Jackie, the way Michael describes it, 11 years ago when he lost his sight,
Yes.
in a freaky kind of flu-like disease, he says turning wood saved his life.
Yes.
Would you describe it sort of that way too?
Yes, I would. He didn't know what to do with himself. He was a man that always liked to work, always used his hands, and so whenever he discovered wood turning, that saved his life, gave him a purpose, gave him something to do.
And in fact, before he lost his sight, he was a woodworker.
Yes, but he never turned wood ever. He'd never even seen a bowl turned. We had to buy videos, and having listened to the videos of people turning wood, and then he would practice at with a bowl and his tools and stuff, and and I would tell him what was going on.
He's working on an object right now. I think you both call this an icicle, right?
Yes.
So this will be part of a Christmas ornament, I guess?
Yes, it will. He
Okay.
takes square blocks of wood.
We can show one of those right here. Would you hold that for me?
Yes. He'll-
What that he's working on was like this, an original.
Yes,
huh?
it was. And then he'll shape it all round, and then he'll make little, what he calls coves and bumps. He calls them bumps. To put a design into it to make what they call a finial. That'll be the tail of your Christmas ornament.
Okay, show me that here.
This
right, yeah, hold that up
particular,
for
this
us.
piece like this,
Okay.
he'll
We're-
turn it all cylinder. Then he will put all these little grooves
Oh,
and
that's
bumps and
remarkable.
stuff.
He does it all by feel.
All
It's not
by
drawn
feel.
out or anything on there.
No.
He just keeps working and working it and leaving little high spots and shaving off other spots.
Till
and he
it
comes up
feels
with
like what he likes.
Wow, isn't
and-
that neat?
And then that becomes the tail.
And you can see now that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's just feeling his way up and down that finial. And the same process would be, for instance, let's take a look at, here's a lid, right?
Yes.
What would be a base, I guess?
He makes a lid, and he can put a little hole in the bottom of it, and then take a finial piece or a piece of wood and put different grooves and bumps and coves and beads, they call them, and then glues it in there.
And then on every one of these, even though, okay, he's doing the finial now, but they're hollow, and he has to dig all that out. So while that little round thing is turning, he's got a tool inside there, and he's digging out, hollowing out the inside.
Yes, hollowing out the inside of what they call the globe part, and makes it lighter weight so it doesn't fall on the tree. He'll put a BB inside. You can hear it shaking so that people know it's hollow.
He says that he's out here every day.
Every day.
8 to 10 hours a day.
Yes.
And do you believe him? Because you're off work.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, when I leave, he heads out the door. And then when I come home, he's still out here when I come home and working.
Did you, when he first started doing this 11 years ago, were you scared for him and thinking he's either going to hurt himself very badly or he's going to be so disappointed that he's not going to be able to do this?
Yes. In fact, our daughter, one day he said to me, he says, I can do this. I know I can. He goes out and he tries it with a little tiny lathe that we had at the time, and he says, I can do this. And I said, all right. So we bought him a bigger one so that it would be safer. And our daughter came home from school, and she calls me up at work, and she says, Mom, do you know what he's doing out there? And I said, yes, I do. Go upstairs and do your homework. And she says, I am not going to turn on the garage light to see him bleed. I said, don't worry about it. Go upstairs and do your homework.
Man.
She was afraid that if she turned, he's out here in the dark. She was afraid if she turned on the light, she would
well,
see
you know,
him.
being in the dark doesn't hurt him any, as long as you don't turn the power off.
Exactly.
But I mean, I would still be like that. I'm like that with him here today. I'm not used to being around him. I know he can't see, and I see that thing turn, and I see him putting his fingers on it, and I'm going, Michael, you know, but
I know.
But he's so good at it. He is so good at it.
He's very cautious. Like he says, all he has is time. He just takes his time, and he does it slow, and he does it easy.
You've seen the other woodturners work.
Yes.
You've seen his work. They rave about his work. Is it truly exquisite?
I think he does a great job. Yes.
Remarkable. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Michael, now I'm looking at two pieces of, I think, red cedar here. I've got them.
Yep.
And they look like they butt up against each other just perfectly. And interestingly, I'm going to hold this up over here next to this beautiful vase. And as you can see, these are the kind of pieces that you put into this turned vase that you have made.
Yep.
And this is called a segment. What's this called?
Segmented turning.
Segmented turning. And the audience can see that each one of these pieces is an individual little block of wood, and they're stacked on top of each other. And what you do is you stack these discs on top of each other like this, and once you get it all glued together, it's like one solid piece of wood, isn't it?
Yep.
And you can turn it just like you would a piece of wood.
Yep.
I'm going to get something here so we can visualize this. Okay, I'm putting them in front of you, and these are the segments that you have already cut and glued together.
Right.
So you're going to make another something like this. Huh?
Right. I go over to the work table, and what I got to do is I got to stagger these joints. You don't want them randomly. You want them staggered. It's called bricklaying. So I got to get it just right, and I take calipers and I'll measure it. Then I'll put some hot glue on it so that I can take it off, put glue on it, and set it right back down, clamp it together, repeat, repeat.
And these are clamped already down here. And you can do that by feel. You know where the separations are by feeling them.
Yep.
Okay. And you've got these stacked here. Do you know what you're going to make yet out of this stack of?
Yep. These are going to be those. I'm going to make a loose lid box. This is going to make 2 loose lid boxes, and these are for the Beads of Courage boxes.
Oh, that's a charity. Good for you. Now this, of course, this is so exquisite. And then, of course, you had to hollow out the inside, too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
And but what gets me is how you're able to make this bend, because I'm looking at the shoulder of the vase right now, and that was all turned, wasn't it? All had to be turned to do that.
They were, some rings were a little bit smaller, so I didn't have to turn so much, but yeah.
I'm going to hand you the bowl, too. Wow. That's, I don't even want to know how many hours you put into that bowl.
I don't
You don't want to know either, do
Yeah.
you? It's like you say, you don't do this to get rich, do you?
No. If you did it to get rich, you'd be sick.
You'd be sick. Is this one of your favorite type pieces to make?
Yes, this segmented turning stuff is just, there's no end to it. I've made urns. My son has a dog training thing. Made urns to put dog ashes in, and if you can visualize it, you can glue stuff together in these segments and make it.
And you have to visualize it a different way than anybody else does.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. It's remarkable that you can do what you do just by feel, having lost your sight 11 years ago. Thanks for letting us in your shop. It is a terrific place. It's a magical place. It is. It's
Well,
a
thank you
magical
for coming.
place because the man who works in here is a magician. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay. Whew, I'll tell you, with one of the most remarkable Illinois stories I think we've ever done, and hopefully that you've ever seen in Chatham, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.